You're listening to the NABS Now podcast, brought to you by the National Association of Blind Students, a proud division of the National Federation of the Blind.
Welcome to the NABS Now podcast. I'm your host, Seyoon. October is Blindness, Equality, and Achievement Month, or BEAM for short. So we wanted to do an episode inviting a pair of blind siblings who have proudly accepted their blindness, who have offered to share their perspectives as siblings, family dynamics, journey through their blindness, and more. So join me as I got to sit down with a pair of sisters and brothers with their stories to tell.
Hello, my name is Aida and Edina Talic. I am 19 years old, and I'm a freshman in college.
Hi, my name is Aida and Edina Talic. I'm 12 years old, and I'm a 7th grader.
Hello, my name is Joshua Olukanni. I am currently 20 years old, and I am a sophomore in college.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Olukanni. I'm currently a sophomore as well, and I'm 23 years old.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for coming in to the NABS Now podcast studio. So obviously we're talking all about the family dynamics as blind siblings. How have your blindness played into factor as far as the family relationships, having been two blind brothers, sisters, whatnot? Just tell us a little bit about that.
And the ladies could take the wheel on this one first.
Oh, honestly, that's a really good question. I feel like while we were children, my mother didn't know my sister also had Stargard's. So my sister had the fun task of being my rabbit and like doing everything I say. She still does. I still throw stuff at her to read it. So she really enjoys that. No, you don't?
We have to go to the store, and I have to read price tags and everything. It's a little bit annoying.
It's cheaper than Ira.
There you go.
It was a little difficult growing up, I guess, because, I always try helping my sister when we walk places, but I kind of yell sometimes. She gets a little mad.
What doesn't help is she's also night blind, so she screams at me and then falls over herself.
I'm warning you before you fall.
Okay.
So it makes sense.
All right, Olukanni, take a stab at it.
I feel like with the family dynamic, it was always interesting. Like, me and my brother always, essentially had each other's back, kind of like the sisters over here. So talk about different things in our mind regarding blindness, just kind of work through it together. Honestly, I felt like it made us closer. But, outside of us, with our parents or our grandma, honestly, they didn't really address the blindness until it was, in their face, right? Until, we were at an eye doctor or something like that. But other than that, the word blind wasn't ever really used.
Can I just say how just deeply heartwarming that is when you said that you guys are relying on each other's backs? All right, go ahead.
I definitely agree with my broski. I definitely feel like blindness did make us a lot closer because we're like, oh man, you ran into that pole earlier. Yeah, now I ran into that exact pole 5 minutes ago. It's just I relate. I really do relate. So, but in terms of family blindness, the word blindness was never mentioned, but it was, it was definitely implicated in the sense that my dad, as me and my brother both grew up, and I'm the older brother, so his friends would be like, oh, hey, when is Tim going to start driving? And my dad's like, oh, soon. I'm like, well, he's 17, right? And my dad was like, yeah, he's 17, but I don't want him to be on the road just yet. That kind of scares me. And my dad's friends are like, I get it, 17. He's already cruise control, I let him be on the road.
Control.
Yeah. So, but obviously, again, my dad never sat me down and he's like, hey, I'm gonna start saying this lie or whatever. It wasn't like that, right? But it was clearly implied that he wasn't comfortable going around telling people that, oh, I'm blind, I can't drive or whatever. Same thing with my grandma. When I came back from the training center, LCB, and I started using my cane, my grandma, she didn't like that very much. She'd be like, oh, don't walk out with that. Don't take pictures of other people. And obviously my brother went to his training center blinding. And so as brothers, as we grew to like be comfortable with our disabilities. My grandma wasn't the biggest fan of it, but yeah, that was a thing.
Aren't all grandmothers facing denials of their grandkids' disabilities though? Let's face it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh,
Speaking the truth.
Sure.
So I'd be curious, guys, having been the only member of the family who's not only the oldest member of the family, but the only blind person in the family, with my younger siblings being all sighted, I was going to follow up to say I'd be curious to hear, in general, how the perception of blindness have rippled across the family, being not only one, but two of you. Like, do you think that have helped to maybe solidify or at least made it a little bit comfortable, because there is that, hey, I got your back, you got my back type of perception, so to speak?
I will say that it really didn't, just because me and my brother were closer. If anything, it just like, I know like there was like certain events that like made it like become more public, at least in terms of the family. Like me and my brother were like blind or whatever, and so at that point they were just confused, because before this time our families didn't really know, honestly. Like, of course, again, they would see the occasional running to a pole and falling down a staircase, but hey, like me and my brother would be like, oh, we're clumsy, right? They were just even more confused, if anything else. They were like, wait, what? Like, why didn't you tell us? It kind of like, I don't know, just threw the family into disarray, if anything. I would say like certain family members would be like, oh, okay. I mean, it's out, but they don't really know the gravity of the situation. So let's just be hush hush. I'm like, how can you be hush hush about blindness, man? Like, it's already out there. It doesn't matter. Yeah,
I think when my grandma observed my eye movement, being the only one, obviously, I think it completely threw them into a complete thunderstorm, if you will.
Exactly. So I definitely don't think me and my brother being brothers, like, I definitely think, in my opinion, I don't know if Josh has the same opinion, but like, I think in a way it's made it a bit worse. I don't want to say so super worse, but like a little bad. At least in terms of their perception, like quote unquote, dealing with it or whatever. So yeah, Josh, I'm gonna throw it over to you.
Yeah, so from my perspective, kind of sort of piggyback off of what he said, the perception of our family that like weren't necessarily our direct family, them finding out that there was not only one but two blind people in the family, I feel like it was just confusion, because to our knowledge there's not any other like blind people in our family, right? Genetically it already didn't make any sense to them, and they're like, oh, like, where did this come from, blah blah blah, like, and they're just confused, right? I don't think like being more than one blind person in the family made them feel any better. Like, I don't know what they talk about like when we're not there, of course, but like, I don't know, I would imagine they'll be like, huh, why are there more than one blind person in the family? Is this like something that can potentially get passed on? I'm not there when they have these conversations, but like from what I've observed when talking to them face to face,
I've
they don't
noticed
seem
the pattern
most happy
here.
about
It's
it.
always a closed door discussion. You know, you almost have to sneak it in.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, ladies?
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I don't know. Growing up, they didn't know I was blind for like a really long time. So, and my parents, I feel like they were a little bit in denial at first, because it was a long time ago, and they weren't as open-minded. They are now, but like it was just back then. So they thought that I was gonna have really good vision, and they thought that I was gonna be able to take care of my sister, which I kind of already do. But I mean, I do have better vision than her, but I feel like ever since I found out,
I almost
at
feel like
first,
this is an insult.
it's a little passive aggressive. I mean, ever since I found out, I think they're fine with it. I feel like they've been more accepting about it a lot as the years go by. They definitely have been, but just back then, I don't know, because I think they only knew Aida was, so they didn't know what to think, really.
Just to mention, this is the same person who almost burnt her house down by baking a bagel.
Ooh.
So I don't know who they're taking.
Ooh.
I don't know who they're taking care of. I can say
care of you at the store.
Ooh.
What do you
the
walk
shade.
outside
The
to
shade
buy
is
you
there.
Guys, truthfully, this kid walks up to me after school and she's like, so these shoes I really like, they went from 1,000 to 500. Will you buy them? Taking care of who is my question. I feel like I'm getting scammed on this side.
I have a sneaker collection.
Oh my god.
Do you guys really think that from time to time there is always this like sense of fear, or you could sense they're blaming themselves from you? Who hasn't spoken?
Ada, would you like to take it?
Take a stab at it. Finish your statement.
Yeah,
Okay,
go for
okay.
it.
I know, always jumping
You
ahead of
gotta
your
do
statement.
that.
My segment was pretty much repetitive with what everyone else said. Truthfully, I feel like all of our parents are probably in denial and just kind of avoiding it. I know my parents have become a lot more aware of the disability in their household, and they do some things that are different. Like, obviously, they have some things that are like accessible, our microwave. Funny enough, they bought a washing machine and it has braille on it, and they had no idea. So
Wow.
they just do little things where they don't even know they're making it accessible for us. But in the beginning, I think my mom blamed herself because we know back home in Bosnia, our aunt and uncle were blind, but obviously the medical system back then was not progressive enough to diagnose what it was. They were just blind, period.
Obviously, there was this expectation that as we all know, well, blind people can't do anything in the public. They are going to be taken care of for the rest of their lives. And Olukannis, I know you guys know what you're thinking.
Oh,
Little training center graduates.
so I'm actually going to respond to that one because my mom has a very famous saying. Even before I got associated with the Federation or any form of blindness organization, being blind is not you being handicapped. You're disabled and you can still do what everyone else does. So that's her favorite thing to say. So by the age of 9, I was taught to do laundry, cook, clean, and do everything like a normal kid, to the point where now I want to achieve more independence. So I will be going to Louisiana Center for the Blind. Whoop whoop. Tim.
Hey.
And my parents are very excited to send me off.
I am.
And my sister's excited because now she can have my bed, apparently.
The pillows.
Bruh.
That's so bad.
Okay, but
So since you guys are on the mic, if there's one thing that you guys could tell your parents, honestly and publicly, about taking head on with blindness as siblings, brothers, what would it be? Family members,
Honestly?
even. It could be relatives.
number one, there are resources out there to help us become more and more independent. And you don't have to worry. And balance back to that question that you mentioned earlier, to like my more distant relatives, no reason to be ashamed. Blindness isn't just a characteristic, and we're living our best life. So yeah,
Let's
that's kind of a
go.
long statement, but yeah.
I love it.
Literally bars, my guy. Bars. But to also piggyback off of my broski, man. Yeah, like what I would tell him is first, dude, chill. Or girl, chill. It's all good out here, guys. It's all good. I mean, again, like blindness isn't like I'm not. You don't need to take care of me for the rest of my days. I'm chilling. So yeah, first one is chill. Secondly, again, going back to your earlier question, like yeah, because I definitely feel like my dad was definitely ashamed for sure, and I'm like, it doesn't do wonders for the mental for the kid. You know, seeing your pops feeling ashamed for something that you have no control over, and you're like, bruh, mental health though. So I would say like there's no need for you to be ashamed and everything. Like it's all good. We definitely got people out here. We got Seyoon, Aida, little sister, all these people who can help us out getting through this stuff. And obviously my brother, and it'll all turn out hunky dory. It will.
I
Promise.
love that positive outlook, man. It's a spirit. It's a spirit, everyone.
I think what I would say to my parents is that they worry a lot, and I feel like sometimes they want me and Aida to be put sometimes a little bit in like bubble wrap. So, I mean, not as much, I think, for me. This is not passive aggressive. This is just true. But see, sometimes I need it because we'll be at the mall or something and we're going down those escalator. I can't see it. I almost trip and fall. Almost did splits on it once too. But I'm like, I want them to like a little bit chill out because I don't know. Sometimes they have their guard up too much. Definitely my dad. He gets really mad if I don't hold the door for Aida
I
sometimes.
think it's a
But
natural
okay.
part of being a parent, right?
He screams at me. I'm scared. Nah, but
So what is
it's
one
okay.
thing that you would tell him on this episode?
I just feel like he needs to let us be independent. Aida's old and she's not a little kid no more. So I feel like she needs to be independent. She is already, but like he needs to not, because I feel like it's mostly him who's more protective. And it's like you need to just let her learn and just thrive on her own. Because my mom, she doesn't really like. My sister said, she wants us like you're not handicapped. You're just blind. You can still do things that normal people can do, and I agree with that.
Wow.
Aida,
I'm gonna coin that.
Wow, drop the mic.
Mic drop.
Straight up.
Yeah, please don't drop my iPad though.
I'm not even holding it.
Exactly, because I'm scared you're gonna drop it. I haven't got that Apple Care. I would honestly agree, and I do believe like my mom has always been a little bit more on the more rigid side of expectations. Her expectations are sometimes a little too high, but
But high
are always
expectations are great
achievable just with the right.
expectations.
Exactly, it's just achievable with a mindset that you can do anything in this world, which is honestly just a great confidence booster. And I know she always complains because my favorite thing to do is to argue with her. Like it's my number one hobby. Um, but I do want to thank her the most just because the confidence we have, ability to be sustainable by ourselves and to be confident with our mobility tools and assistive technology has been great. My dad is on the more protective side, but he has also come around a lot more than when we were younger. I don't think he fully understands what blindness still is, but he's still trying to understand. And I know he yells at my sister to like hold doors for me and stuff, but he's used to her slamming doors in my face and just doing like sibling things, which he thinks, obviously as someone who doesn't have very good vision, he thinks like, oh, you can't do what you guys used to do when you had more vision, like beat each other up, throw stuff at each other. Stop telling people how I abuse you, please. But we just do like normal kid things. Like we argue, we show each other clothes. I annoy her by asking her crushes. We watch TV shows and anime and read books and just like any other blind sibling in this colony. They're pretty cool if they watch anime.
Exactly.
Have you two, Tim and Josh, ever been in a fight?
Bro, we used to throw down. We used to throw down hard.
I'm telling you, like
I was about to say that must have gotten quite heated.
Then
I was about to say,
It used to get heated all the time, man. We left marks on our house walls. We left holes.
holes. I'm telling you.
oh my
We
gosh, me
still
and my
have these.
sister
Go ahead.
shared a bed when she was like 5 or 6, and I was maybe like 11 or 13, somewhere between those ages. And I remember her favorite game was to literally fight each other and beat each other up.
We did it every week. Bro.
Which didn't help because I was already by like 5'3" and she was like 1 foot, and I was like beating her.
I was like 3 foot.
So it looked bad from the outside, but it was out of love.
I still have bruises.
Again, like marks, holes. We still have this particular hole that me and Josh made in the wall, and we like put like a piece of paper over it and then like some tape over it.
We'll think of it as a sentimental value.
Yeah, like
Exactly,
it's still there. It's still there, actually.
I still remember how it happened too. He grabbed my wrist and then he started spinning me around the room, and then he let go and my whole foot just went into the wall. I kid you not. There's an Olukanni foot-sized hole in the wall.
Oh gosh.
I have a story.
So
Once me and my sister were playing a game. I think I was a lot younger, but I didn't know how to play the game, and she got mad at me and she slapped me. It was around Christmas time, and I went behind the Christmas tree and I was crying, and my dad said what happened, and I think I yelled at so bad for slapping. I think he slapped me in my stomach and I cried because we used to have
I
we used to
appreciate
share
the
PS4.
truth and confession in this podcast.
What's sad? That's honestly true because I remember smacking her
The
stomach.
spice is real.
for days.
No, I think I did beat her up all maybe a little too much.
I'm tough now. Now I get into school. No, just
Well,
cut that out.
Cut that out, edit it. Can I make a question? Do you, obviously, Tim, this is more towards you. As an older brother, have you felt like pressure because you're the oldest sibling and now on top of that you have a disability? Do you feel like you had to stand stronger and show more confidence to Josh while you guys were younger?
the
Honestly,
age hierarchy. That's a great question.
I feel like the thing is, right, like in Nigerian culture, it's kind of different, where Josh just had to, as it were, like, just like pander to my needs or whatever. Like, it was just more, well, he's the older brother, so you got to do whatever he tells you to do. Or not even directly, just like indirectly. If we're ever sitting at the dinner table, he'll get the plate last. You know, if we're passing around loaves of bread, he'll get the last piece of bread. Because obviously I got the biggest piece of bread. But in that sense, like, I mean, I feel like that's more of like a, well, I don't think that's more of an American culture thing, but like I feel like in our culture, it wasn't really like, oh, well, your oldest brother, you got to take care of your little brother. It was just more like, oh, Josh, he's the older brother, so you got just, if he asks for something, you got just. So it was more like stuff like that, even if it wasn't direct. So I don't think I felt that pressure necessarily. Definitely not. I mean, definitely like our family have definitely been like, oh, yeah, Josh, you act more mature than Tim does. And then I'm like, hey, like, I mean, you guys did this to me, man. Like, you treat me like a spoiled brat when I was a kid. So, of course, I turned out like that. Well, not anymore. I went through my character development arc. But you know, answer the question, though, like, I don't think so, personally. But I just feel like Nigerian culture has a very unique twist.
What would you guys say? Obviously, with the cultural aspect, have you guys went to like, certain events or just things where it's like obviously Nigerian people for us, like Bosnian people, and your parents try to hide it or just act super weird or like not take you to those things?
Oh, I mean, especially like what I had mentioned earlier about the whole like my dad would be talking to his Nigerian friends and be like, "Oh, I can't. Well, my son doesn't want to drive, or I'm scared of him getting on in a car crash or something." Just saying all these things and not saying that like, "Oh, I'm just blind." Like they're, just putting.
And
like,
for parents, it is come to terms with that, like to admit it to themselves and even to their friends. They might have healthy sighted kids who could drive themselves and have that autonomy to do so, but maybe they just feel like, well, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Ultimately, yeah, I feel like a big thing was that, like, yes, the people around us were ashamed about our eye condition, but the thing is, back then, me and T were as well. And so it made it very easy for our family members to hide it. Like, if my brother didn't want to take around the cane, we just wouldn't. And we'd just walk outside, we'd go to Nigerian parties. No one would know any better. Like, no, we'd pick our spot, hang out there, vibe, and the thing is, me and Timmy have like, a little bit of vision, right? So we're able to be like a little bit more flexible without having a cane in like terms of playing around with other kids. People not noticing until it came to like something more visual. Like if we're playing a sport, that was the worst because that's when it had to come out. Me, like for context, me and T are like super tall people, right? So as soon as we start playing a sport, and we're the worst people on the team. People are like, yo, why are you so bad? Why are you so tall and so bad at this game?
It's almost like a double-edged stereotype. Well,
exactly.
If you are built athletic, and I feel like there is that stigma around being a male too. And even without being in a sibling relationship, blind sibling relationship, I most certainly felt that.
Yeah, and then like even then, like when people would question us about it, like why are you so garbage at this game? Oh, like we're only so bad because like we don't have our glasses with us or we don't have our contacts in, like and people would believe it too. So then like we essentially were doing like the job of the people who were ashamed of us, right? Because like we were hiding it from the people who were inquiring because we were ashamed of it ourselves.
Totally.
100%.
I just want to quickly say that like. I definitely hate getting on a basketball court because it's everyone, the ball falls out of the kid's hand. Like, you're like, man, this big kid, the tall kid's on the court now. Oh, man, it's over, guys. But we all make teams. I'm first pick. Or everyone's like, yeah, we got the tall kid. It's over. He's going to be dunking all day, right? And then I barely can dribble a ball. And then I cannot hoop to save my life. And so everyone's like, dude, get this loser off the court. Like, what is he doing here? It was so ashamed. I'm like, why am I blessed with such height but cannot use it to save my life? And so, yeah.
Well, I really appreciate all your vulnerability and honesty on this podcast. I do want to wrap this thing up to a close. What are some sign-off or send-off messages that you guys have for any blind siblings that are listening to this podcast?
I think that if you have like a blind sibling, I feel like you should just really be there for them and like help them if that's even possible for you, like in any way. It doesn't mean like visually, you can do it like anyway. Just try to be there for them and like I guess sometimes understand them because I feel like every blind person, it's always different. Like you might have a weak point, you might have a strong point. So if you have a stronger point than one of your siblings, then you can do something that they can't, help them out. That's what I think.
That was great. How about you, the older Talic?
I'm trying to think about this. That's my worst thing.
Whatever just comes to your mind, Ada. Just anything that's sentimental, beautiful.
How about somebody else goes while Ada thinks?
Sounds good. I'll take it.
Yeah, little sister, little brother.
I would say, yeah, just bounce off what Lil Talic said. I feel like blind siblings, you have to be there for each other because especially in the day and age that we're in right now, we're fighting against society, right? If you like grow up in the same family as this person, y'all should truly have each other's backs because y'all are going through similar things and can kind of bounce off of each other with ideas, with thoughts, with like emotionally what's happening skills wise. There's so much there that can be unpacked between like blind siblings. And I feel like having that solid relationship with better both of you and allow you to better navigate the world.
Well said.
All right. I'll say just a couple words, probably more than a couple words, but yeah. Again, just echoing what the little tall chick said, and then also Broski said, yeah, just you gotta be there for each other. The world's already a crazy place, as it were, and you definitely just gotta have each other's back. Honestly, you guys literally saw each other grow up in this world together, and so you might as well have each other's back while you're at it. Why not? So I can't speak for those people who are super super close to their parents or whatever. I will not, at least in regards to my mom, but you gotta be close, especially to your sibling, because he or she or wherever they are, we're there, and so that's all that matters. So
That's really deep. I love it. I'm gonna keep that all in. Let's go circle back around to the big college that I'm still waiting on to hear from.
To my big brother
hey,
from another brother, him Olukanni.
exactly.
I completely agree. I think even with vision or without or any other form of disability, it doesn't really matter. I feel like with your siblings, there's always going to be this small bond, even if you don't want it, because, I'm the cool older sibling. But now my sister follows in the same track as me and listens to music I listened to 7 years ago. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so cringy looking back. And it's like, at the end of the day, the closest person you will be to is your sibling. And I think your sibling should be your best friend, even if they don't like it. And even if they don't like when you walk into the room and leave their door open.
Profound.
Edina wants to redo theirs.
Okay. So I just feel like I'm gonna say what my sister kind of said. It's like you don't need to be the closest. You guys don't need to be or say you're best friends, but deep down you will be. And you guys you just need to keep you guys need to kind of take care of each other no matter what. It's gonna be hard for the both if you're both blind. It doesn't matter. You just need to be there and cooperate in whichever way you can. Even though my sister likes to blame me, I will always help her. But she might lose this privilege.
Oh.
You might actually lose it. I'm so for real.
The true support.
She's losing it. I'm not reading how much the price is no more. She's gonna be spending big banks now.
Ryan buying you $500 shoes. This isn't even a question.
Thank you to our special guests, Aida and Edina Talic, and Tim and Joshua Olukanni. This podcast was created and produced by Seyoon Choi out of the National Association of Blind Students, a division of the National Federation of the Blind. Visit us on the web at www.nabslink.org or find us on social media as the National Association of Blind Students. Thank you for listening.